Tonight, wanted to cover something a little bit different. Hopefully, it'll be interesting for you. And this is going to be what we call adivas. Just that you may remember last week we covered Janmashtami. I was thinking to cover Radhastami this week, but as it's still a little bit away, I thought it'd be interesting to cover the adivas ceremony, because adivas is a ceremony that you do before generally the evening before a major festival. So what I plan to cover today is we'll look at the adivas ceremony, what it is, when it's done, how to do it, and the mood of the offering. And the books I've consulted for this, not a lot of information available for this ceremony, but the books I've consulted for the Satkriya Saradipika by Gopal Swami, and also a book called Deity. So a lot of interesting information in both of those books. All right, so I'll just get into this straight up. As you're probably aware, festivals are a very important part of deity worship, but also a very important part of our Krishna conscious development. And we see the Nectar Devotion highlights just how important the festivals are. There's an interesting comment that Prabhupada makes, or it's actually coming from Rupa Goswami, in the 9th chapter of the Nectar Devotion. And Prabhupada writes, he says, in all festivals the Lord is seated on a car, and the car moves through different streets of the city, that people may take advantage of visiting the Lord. In the Bhavishya Purana, it is said, in such a ceremony, if even a Chandala, a dog eater, simply out of curiosity sees the Lord on the cart, he becomes counted as one of the associates of Vishnu. So a very, very amazing statement that that's being made there in the Bhavishya Purana, that actually considered to be one of the Vaikuntha associates of Lord Vishnu, just by seeing the Lord on the chariot. It's amazing, an amazing benediction actually, that just by seeing him, you count as being one of the Vaikuntha associates of the Lord. So every time we take Rath Yatra down majors, any city in the world, but sometimes going through very, very big cities like London, New York. I was in New York last year for Rath Yatra. London also the same year, and hundreds of thousands of people get to see the deity on the chariot. And according to the Bhavishya Purana, they're counted as one of the Vaikuntha associates of the Lord. So very, very important to follow festivals. And of course, we will be discussing festivals more in the future as we go on, because we're very fortunate that we have many, many wonderful festivals that we observe each year. Srimad Bhagavatam also points out how essential these festivals are for grihastas, and this comes from the 7th canto, 5th chapter, text 23 and 24, and then that's of course the verse that's explaining the 9 processes of devotional service. And in the section where Prabhupada is describing deity worship, he mentions, for one who is steady, deity worship is compulsory. Observing the various types of festivals such as Sri Janmashtami, Ram Navami, and the Singha-Chaktadasi is also included in the process of deity worship. In other words, it is compulsory for household devotees to observe these festivals. And we see a little bit later on in the same section, Prabhupada mentions discusses the offenses in deity worship, and the second one he lists is not to observe the prescribed festivals is one of the offenses. So it's very, very important for us to follow all these different festivals. So actually, I've got a little bit of a slideshow I'm going to run tonight. Last week I didn't have a slideshow. It's kind of sometimes hard to find material for some of these slide presentations, but at least tonight, by Krishna's grace, we have some interesting information to present to you. So, yeah, here we're talking about the Adivas ceremony and the role it plays in deity worship. And as I was mentioning, there's so many festivals on the Vaishnava calendar, and there's many components that can go into making up those festivals or observing those festivals. You can have dramas, you can have dramatic readings from Shastra, you can have classes, you can have abhisheks, dressings, flower decoration, all different types of decoration. And also one component that fits into the mix is what's called an adivas. And we're going to explore the adivas, what it is, when to do it, and how to observe it. So we'll get right into that. Now, the first thing is, what is it? We'll ask a few questions about the adivas, and we will look at what is an adivas. Now, it's a traditional function performed. We see it's not just in Gaudiya Vaishnavism you'll see adivas being performed. You'll also see sometimes with Deity worshippers, they also observe adivas. And, so it's not just an ISKCON thing and not just a Gaudiya thing, but, different Vaishnava groups will observe adivas. And it's a traditional function performed to invoke auspiciousness. And then we see, in the adivas ceremony, they offer 27 different auspicious articles are offered, and we'll get into that a little bit in a while. And then also, it helps us to develop the proper mood by preparing our consciousness for the upcoming festival. Now, you may remember, for those of you who were with us last week, when I was discussing Janmashtami, at least for me, one of the major points of Janmashtami and the significance of Janmashtami is because we understand that Krishna's father, his name is Vasudeva. So Vasudeva also refers to this stage of Vishuddha Sattva, or this purified goodness. And the idea is when one achieves this state of Vasudeva, that is the state at which the heart is ready to receive Krishna. So the whole idea behind, one of the major ideas actually behind observing this adivas is to prepare the consciousness to accept the Lord into our hearts and to surrender fully to Krishna. So the day before, we start meditating upon the Lord. We start to pray for him to accept our festival. So it's also a way of petitioning the Lord to accept the festival. Okay, so we'll look at when is an adivas ceremony done. Okay, I forgot to put things in there. Sorry about that. It's generally done before a major festival. Major festivals would mean things like Janmashtami, Gaurapanim, Radhastami. A lot would depend on what deities you have in your temple. Say, for instance, you have Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. You might want to do adivas on the evening before Snan Yatra, for instance. Sometimes temples, they have kirtan melas. You can do an adivas on the evening before the kirtan mela, or you might have some, any real big festival you're doing, you could do an adivas ceremony before that. Also, you see sometimes adivas ceremonies are done before a samskar, such as a wedding. Now, sometimes we find, especially when doing samskars, that the evening before it may not necessarily be possible to do an adivas. So for things like that, if there's time, you can do the adivas ceremony on the morning of the festival. But generally, of the samskar, not the festival. But generally, if we're doing a festival, such as Janmashtami or Radhastami or whatever like that, you would do the adivas ceremony the evening before. And then if you were doing it as part of a samskar and you were doing the adivas the night before, you would also establish the Mangal Gat, and we'll talk about that a little bit in a while. In the Mangal Gat, you'll invoke various personalities, and then you would do the Vishnu Puja and the adivas. Now, let's see what's next. Okay, so also another interesting point is what do we achieve by performing the adivas? Greater focus on the event, such as Janmashtami or Radhastami or whatever it is, the event that's coming up. Then also we petition the Lord to accept. So the idea there is that the Lord will accept the festival, to try and encourage them to accept the festival. And then also, one thing I find very interesting about this sort of presentation is it's a really nice community event. It helps to bring the members of the community together to observe the festival. So yeah, very, very, very nice event. Okay, then the next point we have there. Okay, so just a little video I wanted to run here, showing you how to. Actually, no, I'll run this in a little while. Sorry, I'll go back because I just want to talk a little bit about the preliminary preparation of this. So, as I mentioned, there are some items of preliminary preparation. Of course, one would do Archman first, and you could generally do the standard Vaishnava Archman. Then Mangala Charan. Mangala Charan basically is prayers to invoke the blessings of the Guru Parampara. There are many different types of Mangala Charans. You'll see even the beginning of the Bhagavatam, the first 3 verses of Bhagavatam, they actually function as a Mangala Charan. And the idea is to invoke auspiciousness before undertaking some major event. Then, of course, after that, and you generally would do that by chanting the prayers to the disciplic succession. Then Swasti Vachan, Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Bhunato, etc., like that. Prayers to invoke auspiciousness. Then from that, you would do what they call Sankalpa. Sankalpa essentially means taking a vow or fixing the mind with determination before the performance of any activity. And we do that when we do samskaras, like for instance, when you do an initiation yajna, then you would do a samskar, a sankalpa at the start, before you install deities. Often we do sankalpas, and even sometimes we find devotees when they want to perform some personal brata, they might the day before come before the deity and take a vow that, my dear Lord, I want to serve you like this. So different times you can do sankalpa, but particular, we do a sankalpa before we do the adivas. And this is more common with some adivasas which are associated with samskaras. Not so common to see it done with adivasas that are associated with deity festivals, but it can be done. Then, it can be very simple. It can or be very elaborate. In a simple one, you would state, because the idea is what you're saying. You basically saying to the Lord is, on this day at this time, I want to do this function, and basically you're asking the Lord to please bless me that I can do that. So in a simple one, you would state the month, the fortnight, meaning whether it's the light fortnight or the dark fortnight, the day, meaning the tithi, who's the sponsor, and what's the name of the function. In elaborate sankalpa, you would sometimes call it brihat sankalpa. You talk about the year of Lord Chaitanya, meaning what day Gaurabdha it is, the year of the Vedic calendar, the course of the sun, the season, the month, the fortnight, the solar sign, the lunar day, the weekday, the constellation, and of course the sponsor and what the function is. Now, generally, a sankalpa is performed using a small copper pot, and usually silver, stone, clay, bell metal. These things aren't used, and we don't perform a sankalpa using just our hands to hold the water. And the idea is, you fill the pot with water, you add some white sesame, blades of kusha, especially with the tips, flowers, and haritaki or banana into the pot. Then we establish it by using mantras to call the form of the Lord in there. Especially for us, we could call Lord Chaitanya or Lord Chaitanya and Radha Krishna, and then we would worship the Lord in the pot with various items, such as you could offer the full 16 items, you could offer 10 items, you could offer 5 items of worship, or at least you could offer flowers and chandan to the Lord. And sometimes you'll see devotees when they're doing it, they'll be chanting the mantras for the 16 items and then offering flowers and chandan as a substitute for each one of these things. Then, in the pot you can put jewels and different types of things. The leaves, you may have seen the copper pots when they have a coconut in the top. This is the pot they use to establish the Lord in. Sometimes called a mangal gut also, gut meaning the pot. And they can use different types of leaves, but generally more common it is to use mango leaves. Of course, if mango leaves aren't available, then there's different types of auspicious trees you can use the leaves from. And usually a coconut is used on top of the pot. It can be a green one with a stem, the stem they have, which is attached to how the coconut attaches to the tree, or the palm. but it also can be a ripened brown one, but usually it should have the tuft on the top at least. Yeah. But if you don't have access to a coconut, then you can also put a banana on top of the pot. And there's different regulations on where to establish it, etc. And then of course once you put all the water and the ingredients in the pot, then you call the Lord, and generally you would call at least Lord Chaitanya, but you can also call the deity who's being worshipped into the pot. Now of course if this is all a little bit too complicated for you, then you don't have to worry about that. But then if you were to call the deity into the pot, then you would worship the deity in the pot, but also you could worship different personalities, such as the Guru Parampara. You could call the different Mahabhagavats, I mean Vishwakshena and the four Kumaras. You could call the Navigendras, you could call the Mahajans, you could call all the Bhakti Shaktis such as Purnamasi and all these different Bhakti Devi and Vrinda Devi and all these great personalities in the pot. You can also call Krishna's major cowherd friends into the pot. You could call the cowherd girls into the pot, the major ones, and you can also worship all of them with chandan and flowers. So very, very simple. Now, the next part I just wanted to touch on was about how to actually to offer the items, because the idea is we'll go through the items in a minute, but there's 27 different items, and usually they're in a little what do you call it, a bowl. Generally, it's good to have silver, but if silver's not available, then some pure metal such as bell metal, copper, or something like that. You have a bowl, and you take the item, you bring and you touch it. If you have a pot, you touch the pot first generally. Then you'll touch the deity's head, and sometimes, depending on what the item is, you might show it to the deity. If it's something auspicious to see, you might show it to the deity. Then you'll touch it to the earth in front of the deity. Then touch tulsi, and then you put it on the tray on the other side. Now, what I want to do now was just show you a short little clip, a video clip. Hopefully, this renders okay. Just showing how to do this. And you see here he's touching the item to the head of the deities, then he touches to the earth. Now when Jnanivas does it, you see better. Touches to Krishna's head, then Radharani's head, then he touches the earth in front of the deities, then to Tulsi Devi, and then they put on the tray on the other side. Same thing again, close-up shot, touching to the earth, and then on the other side. So it's a very simple thing, but it's just showing different items. And of course, we'll go through the items now. Oh, hang on, I'll go to the next slide somehow. How do I do that? Hang on. Okay. All right, so here's the different adivas ingredients. So the first thing is earth from the Ganga. Now, usually what you would do, obviously, if you don't live near the Ganga, you might want to get some clean mud or earth from a nearby river. Obviously, the Ganga or the Jamuna is better, or any sacred river for that matter is better. But whatever you can find is fine. Is good. Usually, what I will do is look for some sort of clay or from the riverbank, or also dryish mud. So not too dry, because you want to be able to form it into a ball, and then you show that to the deity. This is considered to be auspicious. Then the next thing is of the items is sandalwood paste. Usually, you grind it up with some rose water. And if it's cold weather, you might put a bit of saffron. If it's hot weather, you might put a little bit of camphor in with it. And then when you offer to the deity, you can, obviously you touch the head and do the other things. But later on, after or at this point or later on, you can do either one. You will anoint the deity's forehead, both the deities, with a little bit of sandalwood paste. Then the next thing on the list is a stone. You can use any kind of crystal or just nice stone. It doesn't have to be anything particular. And you show that to the Lord. Then rice paddy. This is unhusked rice. Not always easy to get, but yeah, if you get unhusked rice, it's ideal. If you don't have unhusked rice, then any rice is okay, but better if you can use unhusked rice. Now, Durbar grass, it's actually quite easy to find. Durbar grass grows in most parts of the world. Obviously not in very cold climates, but it does grow in most parts of the world. I don't remember the botanical name for it, but it's a grass that grows in long, kind of, it's got a very sort of deep, strong root system. And yeah, once you get Durbar grass growing in your yard, you practically never get rid of it, which is not bad because it's auspicious. And it's considered to be very auspicious for a wedding. It's said that if there's also Durbar grass present at the wedding, then you'll likely have plenty of children. So yeah, that's a good thing. And then of course flowers, good if they're fragrant flowers. Better if we have fragrant flowers to offer the deity. All right, so the next thing we have here, fruits. Generally considered that pomegranate is the best fruit to use for this function, and that would be a whole fruit. Of course, you wash the fruit first, and then offer show it to the deity on a tray. But if pomegranate is not available, then it's not always easy to find. Banana or any other auspicious sort of fruit is okay. Potentially, you could also offer a mango, but pomegranate is considered to be the best. Yogurt, just plain yogurt in a bowl. You just touch the Lord's head to the earth, etc. Ghee, same thing, ghee in a bowl. Then the next thing is a swastika. Now this generally it's good if you can have a swastika made of silver. Gold is also nice, but obviously the problem with gold is that someone will steal it. But yeah, so you get one made out of swastika made out of silver. And if you don't have access to a silver swastika, you can take a small silver plate or a copper plate or anything like that, just again a pure metal, and then mix kumkum with a bit of ghee, and then you can draw a swastika on the plate and then offer that to the deity. So that's as good as an actual swastika made of silver. Then the next thing is sindoor, which is this red vermilion that they put in the part of the ladies put in the part of their hair. And now with that, sometimes what you find, especially you can get the little bottle one, or you can mix it up yourself. But the bottle one's much easier because the little stick in there, you can dip it in and put in the part. Sometimes devotees will actually put that in Radharani's part when they're offering it. But of course, you need to be mindful that it could permanently stain the wig. So I'd be inclined just to offer it, but not actually put it on the deities at all. And also with things like sindoor and some of the other items, you can distribute them as Mahaprasadam. You might give that to one of the married ladies in the who's attending the festival, like that. Then the next thing is a conch. So essentially, it's just a small decorative, ornamental conch, or even a conch you might use for offering water during the arti. Usually, the small ones are better. Same idea. If you touch the conch to the deity's head, you touch it to the ground, then you offer to Tulsi, then you put on the tray. Because generally, the way I do it is I'll have two large trays, one on the looking at the altar from the front of the temple, from the temple room on the left-hand side of the altar. I'll have a large tray with all the items on, and then I'll have another large tray on the other side where I put all the items after offering. So yeah, so then the same thing is you touch the conch, the head, etc. Next thing is kajal. So kajal, usually what we do is when we offer the kajal to the deities, same thing, we'll touch it to the deity's head, etc. like that. But then I'll give the pujari a small silver stick, and then the pujari can apply the kajal to the deity's eyes, very carefully, of course, because we don't want to go poking Krishna in the eye or anything like that. But just put a little bit of kajal on the upper and lower eyelids of the deities, just where the eyelid comes close to the eye. You put there very, very carefully. So you can do that for Radha and Krishna. So that's also a nice item to offer. Then the next item is Golrochan. Golrochan is very, very difficult to get. You can get it in certain puja shops in India, but in many countries of the world, it's how do you say it's contraband. You know, you're not really allowed to bring things like that, especially in a country like Australia, where they're very concerned about biosecurity. You can't really bring things like that into the country. So what I do is, if I don't have the Golrochan, is I will offer the item in substitution, meaning that I would take a spoon of water from the Archman cup and then chant the appropriate mantra from the book, which is Om Yunjati Bradal Urasham, etc. Om Nanyaya Rochanaya Subare Adivas, and then offer that to the deity as substitution, and then just move on to the next item. Of course, most of these items are fairly readily available. There's just a few of them that are a little bit hard to find. So the Golrochan, I will offer that in substitution. Then white mustard seeds in a bowl, or a fairly flat tray with silver sides, with small sides on it. You know, a little silver tray is always nice. Then gold. I was lucky some time ago is that a friend gave me a small gold ingot, which I use for adivas ceremonies. So the same thing. But also, what I do with that is after touching the deity's head, I will hold it up in front of his eyes so he can see that the ingot, and then touch the earth and put it on the tray. And then same with silver and copper. Usually, for those things, I have a coin, but you can also use a silver ingot or a copper ingot if you can get. But some sort of coin is always nice and usually quite easy to get. And you just, if they're attractive looking things, it's also nice to show them to the deity. Then, so we've got gold, silver, copper, the three metals there, all very auspicious. Then a ghee lamp. Now, generally, just going back to the conch, by the way, from before, there's no water in that conch. It's just an empty conch, but the conch is considered on its own to be auspicious. And the ghee lamp, it's not lit at this point. You generally, although I have seen some devotees light the ghee lamps at this point, but my experience is generally the ghee lamp is not lit at this point. But before we offer all the items to the deity at the end, then the ghee lamp is lit. So, and when you put on the large tray, when you're just about to offer it to the deities, then you will light the ghee lamp and offer it to the deity. Next thing is a mirror. So it's nice to have a small, what happened? There we go. A small mirror, or any size mirror really, a nice mirror, but it should be clean, because the idea is you're going to show it to the deity, and the deity will see themselves in the mirror, at least the face in the mirror. So I always like to clean these things before offering them. Next thing is fragrant oil. So it's good if you can have some kind of high quality oil to offer to the Lord. I usually have a few special oils that I reserve, particularly for this ceremony. That we don't use regularly. Maybe some aguru or some nice quality rose oil, Bulgarian rose oil, or some nice rose oil from Aligarh in India. Just some high quality oil, and then what you do is you'll offer it to the deity on a cotton swab. Then afterwards you can then distribute that oil, the fragrant oil, to the devotees to honor. It's very nice to have a good quality oil for that. The next thing is turmeric. This is turmeric root. Obviously, you wash it and get all the dirt and stuff off. But that's just a chunk of turmeric root, also considered very, very auspicious. I wouldn't use turmeric powder, but of course, if you can't get a turmeric root, then I guess the turmeric powder is the next best thing. But the problem with turmeric powder is it's often mixed with lots of impurities. They'll mix flour and different things like that to stop it from coagulating, because it goes very kind of, I don't know, sticky. It's a bit sticky. But if they add the powder to it, then it stops. It makes it. They add some sort of powder like flour or something then it can be, it'll stay in a powder form easier. Then a cloth. The next thing is a cloth. Usually, what I'll do with the cloth is I'll have a nice coloured pure silk cloth or something like that, and I'll cut it into a size or tear it into a size so it's suitable for the deity to wear as a chadar. Just put it, you fold it nicely and just put it around their neck, and that can be then just be distributed later on. Now, Yagya thread, I did get a picture of the thread, but I didn't have a time to incorporate it into the presentation. But you've probably seen that these threads often devotees will have tied on their wrists after some yagya or installation or something like that. Usually, but not always, they're red and yellow. Sometimes they're just plain red, but oftentimes you'll find they're red and yellow. And usually you'll tie that on the wrist of the deity. Now, if, for instance, we've got Radhastami coming up, or we just did Janmashtami, if you're doing it for Radha and Krishna, you'll tie it on Krishna's right wrist and usually wrap it around 2 times, not too tight, and you put it on Srimati Radha on his left wrist, because men, and I don't know the reason for this, I'm afraid, but men wear these things on their right wrist and ladies wear these things on their left wrist. So if anyone has any information like scriptural reference, etc., that can substantiate why we do it like that, I'd be really interested to learn that. And generally speaking, we'll leave that on the deity's wrist until the next day when the festival, once the festival is over. Actually, usually what you would do is so say for instance you're doing for Radhastami, you'll do it on the day before Radhastami, which in this case is a Tuesday. Then Wednesday is the festival. Then Thursday morning, when the pujari is bathing and dressing the deity, then you remove the thread before bathing the deity. And also, usually I try to have a big ball of this thread, because the general practice is that you'll tie this thread on the wrist of all the attendees. And if there's, if say for instance during Mayapur where there's thousands of attendees sometimes, you'd probably do just to the pujaris and maybe some of the senior Vaishnavas. And this is like a bond or in a sense a sankalpa and between the deity and the people, the devotees attending, in that, I'm going to see this whole festival through with you. So if you attend the adivas, it's generally considered that you will also see the ceremony through to the end. Yeah, so that's also a nice part of it. Then the next thing is a chamra. Now, at this point, you would just show it to the deity. You don't fan the deity with it. You can, but generally you don't do. You just show it to the deity. Then the next thing here we have is, I just want to check, sandalwood. Yeah, in the beginning it was sandalwood paste, and you anoint the forehead of the deity with sandalwood paste. But at this point, it's just a piece of sandalwood, because that's also considered to be very, very auspicious. So you just show that, you touch that to the head of the deity, touch the earth, etc., like that. Then the last thing is, it says Gilat used in Arti. Sorry, that's incorrect. The 27th thing is to offer all the items. So you take the tray that's got all the items on there, and then you'll offer that in 7 circles to the deities first. And then if you have a yajaman or a person you're doing the sacrifice on behalf of, then you'll go and present the item to him or her, whoever it may be, and then you can show it to offer in 7 circles to all the Vaishnavas or the assembled Vaishnavas. Then generally what I do is, because I only generally do this for festivals, is I'll offer 7 circles to the deities, clockwise circles as we do in Arti, big slow circles. Usually takes 2 devotees to offer it because the tray is quite large. And then I will present it in 7 circles to all the Vaishnavas, Arti fashion. And then I'll take the tray to Srila Prabhupada for him to honor the prasad remnants of the Lord, and then take selected things from the tray and distribute them as charnaritas, such as the fragrant oil, the chandan, the thread, the kajal, the sindoor, all those things we distribute. Yeah. Okay, so that's all of that. then yeah, that's about it. And that's how we do an adivas ceremony. All right. Okay, we don't need that one. All right. So great. All right. So yeah. Okay. So Vijay Baladev, he's asking. He missed the beginning. Why are these items offered? Do they have some specific significance? For example, the white mustard seeds, Gorachan, etc. I understand these are auspicious items, but is there an explanation why? Mostly it's just because they're auspicious items. And as I mentioned earlier on in the slide presentation, the idea is that we're trying to petition the Lord to accept the offering. We're trying to petition the Lord to be pleased to accept the festival that's coming up, basically. And of course, a big part of it for me is that to put our mind in the right to put our mind in the right consciousness, I guess, so that we can try to prepare ourselves more to be more and more absorbed in the service of the Lord. For me, that's a very, very important part of the whole program, is to try to, set ourselves in the right frame of mind, I guess. And as I was mentioning before, to try to develop this, the whole mood of asking the Lord to come and reside in my heart by developing this constant meditation upon Him. As far as explanations of why they're auspicious, they just are auspicious. It's the same as, like, if you look in the Pratishtha, you'll notice that there's a ceremony called what's it called? Sorry, I can't blank on it. Let's see. I've got the Pratishtha here. It's called Vandapanam. That's what it's called. It's Vandapanam. And the whole idea is you show all these different types of auspicious ingredients, and some of those ingredients, like the cow, I don't know if anyone was in Mayapur when the Panchatattva installed, but the day before the installation, we did the Vandapanam, and that included all sorts of auspicious ingredients. They brought a cow in. I mean, if you can fit an elephant into your temple room, you could probably bring an elephant in. There was different types of, like they had young girls, young virgin girls or kumaris. They also came before the deity. Musical instruments, Bhagavatam, Shastra. There's so many different things that are considered auspicious. This is just a list of 27 different auspicious items. I haven't come across any information, and I would like to see if there is anything explaining why these particular items are considered auspicious, or why these particular items are offered for the adivas and not other auspicious items. So, an interesting point. Now, also, is it practical to do an adivas in temples with hardly any devotees? Congregation will not come for 2 days in a row, if it's a weekday especially. I've had the experience where we've done adivas and it's only been the pujaris. My mood is more that I'm doing it for the deities, and if devotees are there to observe the adivas, then fantastic. But for me, it's more about the service to the deities rather than doing it for the audience. If there are devotees there to see, then that's good, because they'll get the benefit of observing the ceremony that's being offered to the deities. Gorochan, it comes from the pituitary gland of a cow, and it's sometimes used as a pigment. It's got a very sort of deep, strong, yellowy color. Now, there are different types of Gorochan. Sometimes they take it from the bile duct. Pituitary glands, actually, my understanding is it's in the brain, or in that, in the head area. But it's, you'll get some Gorochan in India sometimes, which is not actually Gorochan. They get some extract from the bile gland Sometimes they sell little bottles and stuff, but actually it's kind of like it's a lumpy thing. What do you call it? It's not like a sap from a tree that dries out. I forgot what they call those things, but it's kind of like a hard kind of substance. But you can use it for a dye and stuff like that. It's very, very strong, but it's considered to be very, very auspicious. Then Krishna Kumar was asking, can you kindly share the list of items to be offered and how? If you look at the presentation, which is available on Facebook and will get put up on our YouTube channel, you'll see that the list is there of the different items. And let me see. It's just ghee lamp. Oh, okay. The 27th item was actually a ghee lamp used in Arti. I made a mistake there. It was actually a ghee lamp used in Arti, so that was correct. And then the 28th thing we do is offer all the items together. So that information is contained there in the presentation. All the 27 items are listed, and also there's a little bit of a video there, footage, which goes for about 28 seconds, which shows you how to actually offer the different items. But really, if you haven't done this before, you're probably better off participating in an adivas ceremony with some experienced pujaris so you can learn the detail of it. As with much of the things we do in deity worship, it's not a do-it-yourself function. You need to learn it from experienced pujaris, because I think I shared this with you some time ago. I remember years ago I was traveling and I visited a temple, and I was watching the pujari doing the morning service for Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, and there is a description in the scriptures about how does it go? It's called Manasika Dapani Snan. And the idea is that when you have deities of Jagannath, because they're made of wood and they're painted, if you bathe them regularly, then the deities will become damaged from the water, etc. So there's this program, or this function you can do, where you set up a mirror and you bathe the mirror instead of the deities. And the idea is you bathe the deity's reflection in the mirror, because the reflection is considered non-different from the deity. But then I was visiting this temple, and I was watching the devotee doing Manasadapani Snan, and I noticed that actually he was looking at his own reflection in the mirror and not the reflection of the deities. So it's always good to learn these things from experienced pujaris. Let's see. So Krishna Kumar, if you just run through the video, it's on Facebook. Will be posted to Facebook soon, and I'll pin it to the announcements for the next week, and up until I put the next announcement up. But it'll be at the top, so it'll be pinned to the top, so you'll be able to find it pretty easily for the next week. And you can also it will be hopefully within a few days it'll be up on YouTube, and so you can also watch it there. We have a YouTube channel, ISKCON Deity Worship Ministry, so you can look at it there. Why the swastika? The swastika is considered auspicious. Why not Om? Om, we tend, in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, we tend not to focus on Om so much. Of course, we understand it's the sacred syllable which represents Krishna and things like that, but Om tends to be more associated with impersonalism, and we see that impersonalists, they do tend to meditate on Om and things like that. But you'll find with Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they'll tend to meditate on personal direct names of Krishna. Om is a secondary name or secondary indication. It's not like Krishna, which is directly referring to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas other names are not so direct. Whoops, what happened there? I did something. Sorry, I just did something on my iPad. What did I do? sometimes I mess up on the computer stuff a bit. Okay, what's going on? I've got a little images to these in black garments. 1 minute. I will sort this out. I can't read the questions right now because the Facebook feed's gone a bit funny. I touched something and it all changed on me. Here we go, got it back. Okay, so different series next. Yeah, Krishna Kamahu, if you go to our YouTube channel, as I said, ISKCON Deity Worship Ministry on YouTube, please subscribe, and if you like the videos, please like them. You'll find most of the webinars are there, and they'll be under Deity Worship webinars. So yeah, go there and you'll find all of them. Then let's see, swastika. What else we got here? Just trying to find any more items. Swastika. Okay, Sonam Binyani has asked a question, not directly related to this, but interesting question. Can we dress the deities in black garments? It's an interesting point, this, because we see that Prabhupada was asked this question one time, and the first time he said the deity should never be dressed in anything black. Then, not long after that, Jamuna wrote a letter and said, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada, I heard the deity should not be dressed in black." And Prabhupada wrote back and said, "I never said such a thing. The deity can be dressed in any color you like, according to your own color scheme." So we see that Prabhupada did agree with the deity being dressed in black. And then another question here is from Maureen Agarwal. Isn't the instruction of Gaurachan Hingsa in this case? Generally, they wait for the cow to die. Oh, that's what you're supposed to do, is wait for the cow to die. It's very similar to a chamra. What happens in India these days is with a chamra, well, what they're meant to do is actually shave the hair off the flank of the yak, and then weave it into a braid and wrap it on a stick or something like that, and then make a chamra. If you go to Mayapur and you see the chamras they use on the elephant procession, they're from South India, and this is how they're made. But you'll find with chamras you get in Calcutta or in Vrindavan, is they generally cut off the end of the yak's tail. Definitely not a hingsa. It'd be I would imagine it'd be very, very painful for the yak, and then they just stick that with some gum into the handle. And so, but as I say, it's meant to be done in a hingsa manner, but oftentimes it's not. But the chamra is still considered to be pure. And so in the same way with the extraction of the Gaurachan, generally it's meant to be taken from the cow once the cow passes away. And my understanding is that you have to do that pretty quickly after the cow passes away. Otherwise it doesn't, it dissolves or something. But you'll probably find more than likely that a lot of times with the Gaurachan, it's taken out of a cow before they, well, artificially, I guess, not waiting for the cow to pass away. All right, and we have another question here from Sonam Binyani. Not on topic, but it's an interesting question nonetheless. Sometimes we see that Lord Krishna's deity wears a Brahminical thread. Is this a norm? Are there specific days of the year we make him wear this? Well, different temples do different things. By and large, you'll find that most temples will offer Krishna a Brahmin thread, and he wears it all the time. When he was a young boy, he went to the ashram of Sandipani Muni, and he received Gayatri Diksha from Sandipani Muni. And this is the age he was Poganda, and we worship in his Kaishora Leela, which came after that. So we can see that according to the Leela, at least. And deity worship is not always done according to Leela, it's done more according to Tattva, but at least according to Leela, that Krishna had already been given the Brahman thread at this point in time. So it's not uncommon to see deities wearing a Brahman thread. Although in Mayapur, interestingly enough, Madhava doesn't wear a Brahman thread, and there's a very specific reason for that. If you look across Madhava's back, you'll see there's a natural Brahman thread in the marble. So when Janani Mahaprabhu saw that, he thought, okay, I'm not going to offer Madhava a Brahman thread because he already has a self-manifesting Brahman thread, if you like. So yeah, there's just a white vein in the marble, which is exactly like a Brahman thread. So he didn't think it would be appropriate to offer Madhava a Brahman thread. Okay, so on that note, I think we can wind up there. So as I mentioned before, please do visit our YouTube channel. And there's plenty of interesting videos there. I just put up another one the other day from Kripa Moy talking about is our deity worship idolatry. I put up as many as I can different practical videos. If you like certain things, you want to see other things, please make a comment in the comments down there what you'd like to see. Some things will obviously take longer to produce than others. Simple things I can do quite quickly. Week before last, I posted a second video on how to make gear wicks. So now we have 2 different styles of gear wicks there. Yeah, and if you have if you have some videos you'd like to see shared on our YouTube channel, please send them to me, and I'll definitely review them. And if they're the type of thing we're looking for, then I'll post them. Please, on Facebook, share this video with as many as you can. It's very important that this information gets out to the devotees. Please visit us on Facebook, visit us on YouTube. If you're in the position where you can offer any support to the ministry. Of course, we understand that for many people it's a difficult time right now. It's also a difficult time for us because our funding has been cut by the GVC because they're not getting money in. So, if there's any way you feel you can help the ministry, or just like with Vijay Baladev Prabhu, he helps put together these different sessions. So, if you would like to do that, if there's any way you'd like to get participate in the activities of the ministry, please feel free to contact myself, and we love to help in some way or another, or get you engaged. Just Petita Pavana, who just asked another interesting question. I heard along with white mustard seeds, one can offer salt, neem leaves, a form of fish. That's something else, Petita Pavana, which is called, what is it? Dristi Apsarana, I think it's called. Sometimes I forget these names. It's a form of, it's a dristi. Dristi meaning something you show. And the idea is you show this thing, like after all the worship's finished, thank you, Maureen, Dristi Apasarana. And what you do is you show these items, like once the deity's been dressed and he's back on the altar, you'll put these things on a plate, and you wave them in front of the deity like that, and just, all over. And the whole idea is there's neem leaves. Actually, neem leaves is a substitute. Better is if you use neem fruit, but obviously neem fruit's not available all year round. What you do is you just sort of wave these things. So there's black mustard seeds, white mustard seeds, neem fruit or leaves, if that's what you have, rock salt, and you wave this in front of the deity. And the idea is it absorbs all any inauspicious or envious glances or things like that. And then what you do afterwards is you don't want to take that as Mahaprasadam because it could have some quite negative energy in it. You'll go and burn all those things so that that stuff is just destroyed. And the fish, that's something else. That's called Matsyamochana. And the idea is we did it once with a real fish in I remember in St. Petersburg, Bhakti Bringovinda Maharaj had asked me to install his Nrsimha deity. I don't think he has the deity anymore, but he had this Nrsimha deity, and he asked me to install the deity. So I actually arranged for the Gurukul kids there to catch a fish, and they got this catfish, I think it was, and we held it up in front of the deity, and the fish was just looking directly at the deity like that. It was really, really amazing, you know, and the fish said it gets liberation from that. Generally what you do, and actually a fisherman's supposed to do that, not the pujari, but I wasn't aware of that at the time. But generally what I do is I'll have a silver bowl, a little silver fish, and I kind of like, you know, flap the fish around in front of the deity, then pop them in the bowl. And it's considered that, you know, like if the fish sees the deity, then the fish is liberated, and it's considered to be very, very auspicious. So the whole idea of deity worship is that that it's beneficial for everyone. Everyone who participates in the deity worship is beneficial for them. But I will discuss this more in a later presentation. I'm thinking to do the Jammatiti video and the whole Abhishek thing, but that may have to go over 2 separate presentations because there's a lot of information there. So yeah, we'll probably have to do that. And just last point from Maureen Prabhu, he says, I've seen red chilies being used for Drishti Apasara, especially in South India. You'll see that they do use different things for Drishtis in different parts, but at least in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, at least what we have in the Pratishta Vidi, there is 2 sections of Drishti, 2 types of Drishti we offer there. I don't remember the names. I'm just having a look in the book, which I have here, to see if I can find the name. No, it doesn't mention the names here, but when I get around to doing the section on the Abhishek, then I'll go into that as deeply as I can in the time we have. And it's actually quite interesting because there's many different details there that you know, it's nice. You know, Prabhupada he mentioned that this attention to detail is a sign of love, and then in another place he also said that a pujari is a very, very fastidious person. So a fastidious person is someone who pays attention to detail. So by offering, you know, the whole idea, as I was mentioning before, I think Vijay Baladev was asking, you know, if there's hardly any devotees in the temple, then is it practical to do? The whole idea is we're doing it for Krishna's pleasure. We want to please him. We want to make him happy to accept the worship we're going to offer him the next day. So then to do you know, these little details is very, very nice. Okay, so please remember to visit our YouTube channel. Please subscribe. You know, the video on Facebook, also share it with your friends, share it on YouTube. Please help to get this information out as far and wide as possible. And if in any way you can contribute to the ministry, there are devotees in this call, like Radha Shalini also helps with the ministry. David Prabhu is a very helpful, you know, very important team player in the ministry. Vijay Baladev is also helping. So in any way, if you can get in there and help us to spread the message, spread the teachings of Srila Prabhupada in relation to deity worship, that'd be gratefully appreciated. So thank you all very much, and look forward to seeing you next Saturday. Hare Krishna, glory to Srila Prabhupada.